Lee and all the listeners of WFM. Again, it's good to be here. And Stephen said it is be good to be here and nice. And he has been absent for so long.
Yeah. What do you with that?
Come on. Come on.
I hear the come on.
He has been absent for so long.
Yeah.
You know, come on, Stephen.
My friend, Glasgow,
Stephen.
my friend Sir James
Stephen.
Mitchell gave me some my good friend Sir James Mitchell,
Yes.
of blessed memory, as you guys like to say in the Christian community, always told me, he said, Stephen, you must always leave them wanting more.
Always what?
Leave them wanting more. Don't talk for 2 hours if you could talk for an hour. Leave
Great.
them wanting more.
Great.
I thought it was very good advice. You don't want to be seen too frequently, so it's the right thing to do.
Oh, yes. Yes, students accept. Yeah.
Good. I'm good advice.
Yeah. Glasgow, is the open forum? Anything you want to highlight?
Well, first up, I want to shout up my princess, my wonderful daughter,
Wow.
who is here visiting.
I actually saw her there.
And I want to say happy belated anniversary. She's celebrating 6 years.
Of marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's my prayer that they would continue, that they wouldn't follow in my footsteps, my example, that they will go as the pledge that they made, until death
Yes.
do them part. That's my prayer.
Yes.
So, Kim and Damon, you all continue to enjoy. Blessed night.
6 years.
6 years.
They
Now
know
start.
they know
Just
start.
Now start the journey.
I had a friend of mine who told me yesterday or the day before they were married for 21 years now.
Wow, that's a long
I said,
time.
well, boy, that's like 3 life sentences. Who does that? Sorry to interrupt you, Glasgow. My apologies.
Stephen, but trust Stephen.
So let me remind the listeners that it's your program is the Open Forum 457-9997. That's the number you can call. And if you have a digital phone, it's 532-9997. Glasgow, any topic you want to discuss besides your daughter being here?
Well, the first thing,
Speaking to the mic.
People, the last time was asking me about the issue of, crime.
Oh.
And, let me again.
You really want to go you crime thing, the boy?
No, it's happening. So, we need to talk about it. We need to, to try to appeal to our people. But you know what, Kingsley? My thing is that, and it might be harsh to say, like, my friend, but I'm going to say it. I believe that just this generation is a lost one as it relates to the issue of crime. And I want to put some blame on people like Stephen, who support the death penalty, who continue to call for vengeance, the churches, because the churches also support it. And I'm saying, until we reach to the place where we teach another generation that the way is to forgive, is to look for that better path.
Wow.
And not vengeance.
You got a long time to read.
We have taught. It might be so, but that is my appeal. That we really and truly need to come to that place where we are prepared to say, forgive and reach out, despite of, until we continue to seek vengeance. That is what we're going to be having. It's sad what is happening in our country. But really, no government is going to solve the problem, is going to be able to eliminate it. It all has to do with the heart of the individual, the way we are cultured. And until we find a way of reversing, then that problem is going to remain with us.
So crime is the thing is on your mind?
No, a lot of things is happening. I think we could be, off of the issue of crime, the aftermath of Beryl and the rebuilding that is taking place throughout the country. I'm really not hearing much about it, but I think the government ought to be commended
For what?
for the way they have been handling the reconstruction, and in terms of making sure that all of its nation children are ready for school. The kind of work that is being done and the effort, it is one that I think the government need to be commended for. Again, the reconstruction I see, throughout, not only in the Grenadines, but even on mainland, those persons who got damaged, the government is there reaching out and doing repair to their roofs. And the thing is, Kingsley, that, and I understand, as I said, I'm not a Facebook person, but I understand I just get some things from what is happening. That Marlon Samuels,
Yeah, I saw you were there.
Former Jamaica West Indies cricketer.
Yeah, that you in Jamaica, here recently?
I heard of others. I heard of others, but dealing with Marlon, I understand that he would have made a comment that what this government is doing, it is not the norm. It is not the norm. And I understand that, he got some licks, as usual, for the political, those people who are on the other side.
Yes.
He came out for a lot of licks for saying that, but that is a fact. And Kingsley, I want to make this statement that what the Prime Minister is doing now, not now, what he has been doing in terms of, remember the 2013, the flood, replacing everything for those persons, bed, fridge, stove, everything. Rebuilding homes for people whenever there is a disaster. What the Prime Minister is presently doing, I'm saying he is going to make it very difficult for any other, whoever it is, that is coming, because I don't think that they will be able to mobilize the resources that he is doing. I don't think they would have the will to do what he is doing. So that is my position. I believe that he is setting, because people now are looking forward to it. They believe that anytime their house is damaged and so on, government supposed to have a responsibility to fix their house.
Yeah.
But let we understand that that is not the case. It is not government responsibility to do so. What this government is doing is something that the government need to be commended for. And I don't know, as I said, in the long run, it could be setting a precedent that would create problem for government in the future.
Yes. Stephen Jokins, your thoughts on any comments on cartel being the face of
There are certain
issue of Friday gone on holiday this time of the year, Glasgow, suggesting unfair that the increases we see in the supermarkets is a world thing. Did you agree with any of Glasgow's commentary?
It was nice to be of a certain age sometimes, because some people seem to have very short memories. It was back in 2000. I remember people going on all kinds of radio stations. Crime was the fault of the NDP and the government.
So
they were terrible and useless.
And
now you hear some of those same people supporting the same party. Suddenly it's no longer a government problem, it's a society problem.
Yes.
It's wonderful to hear the changes and the differences. We bring gangsters to the country, promote them, we have them promoting our country. We mentioned the name Marlon Samuels, a disgraced former West Indies cricketer. Disgraced.
That's a strong word, but I agree with you.
6 years he was suspended from being part. That's pretty much disgraceful to me.
Yes.
He was suspended previous to that. And these are the kind of people we're promoting. We live in a country that, from my friend Chester Connell, did an excellent little article the other day about the van culture in our country. I don't know any other country that I'm aware of that allows what we allow in our country. And then we want to complain about the youth. We are allowing our vans to play ridiculous songs, disturbing the minds of our youth, right? And yet we can't see the connection. I find that all quite astonishing. But a couple of days ago, my friend Sean Stanley called me from Table Tennis and the Ministry of Sports. And after a few minutes, I said, Sean, you realize there's no point in us having a discussion because you can only see things one way. No matter what happens, you can only see it one way.
Poor boy, yeah.
We were talking about the Vybz Kartel issue, and I said, would you want your daughter to listen to that kind of crap that he promotes? This is a man who the Jamaica Observer says was responsible directly for more than 100 murders in Jamaica as the leader of a gang in Jamaica. I am not living in Jamaica. I don't know. I'm saying what the Jamaica Observer, which my understanding is a paper of decent reputation, says about this gentleman, right? We've heard some of his lyrics. And to say that they're awful, promoting gangsterism and murders and assault against women. And so I said to my friend, Sean, would you like your daughter living? What I have to do it done? I said, well, it has everything to do with it, because if it's not good enough for your daughter, why should it be good enough for other people's children? But they can't see that because they're so blinded. And we have a lot of our country like that. You're blinded by red or you're blinded by yellow. You're incapable of thinking for yourself. And Sean doesn't understand that. He thinks he's capable, but he's not capable. He can only see things one way, right? And as long as our country goes down that route, as long as we continue along that route, as long as people fail to see what the real problem is, and the real problem is we have divided the country as much as possible, right? And we promote only one side, and only that side have all the answers and everybody else is wrong. That's what we see. That's what happens. Marlon Samuel, my friend here. This is a man suspended from cricket for 6 years recently. Promoting St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
We didn't suspend it for was match fixing.
He was speaking to a bookie.
Oh, okay.
Somebody who was his friend. I don't know if he knew that the guy, there is no evidence to support that Marlon was aware of who the guy was in terms of his, a person who was a bookie. Mm-hmm. But he was a friend and he had a conversation with him. He talked to him. So, and it comes right back.
So you're defending that?
Stephen point here. I'm not defending that. I'm saying that the thing is, that he talked to the guy and he was suspended for that, right? There is no evidence to say that he knew that the guy was involved in that type of thing. But my point is, he served his time. And that is what I talked about in my early statement, in terms of until we reach to this place where we're prepared to forgive. Forgive.
Coming up.
And move on, give people a second chance. He has served his time. He was suspended. He came back and he played cricket for West Indies. This individual is here, came to St. Vincent to help. Why should we go back to that old past? This person is prepared to contribute towards persons who are the house was damaged by burial. He is prepared to help St. Vincent in that respect. Why should we go back to this man old past? I can't see that.
What's your thoughts on Vybz Kartel coming to St. Vincent? For medical is okay, but why we see so much people using him to promote St. Vincent and the Grenadines? What's so special about Vybz Kartel?
Well, Kingsley, I don't know. The thing is that you know who I am. My friend Stephen is more that type of person who's into music and love his FET and go to shows and so on. I don't go to those things. I don't support, I don't promote those type of things. So I would always be against that type of those type of lyrics, those type of songs. I don't support them.
Yeah, let me say good evening to Candyman. Candyman, I'm hoping that you call tonight and see if you could
So on the
help Glasgow to defend the
the
issue of
issue
cartel.
with Vibes, I have no problem with Stephen, taking that position. But as it relates to Marlon, I have a serious problem with that.
Okay.
Former West Indies star Marlon Samuels has been banned from all cricket for 6 years for breaching an anti-corruption code, the world sports body has said.
Yeah.
The charges relate to the 42-year-old stint in the T10 League in the United Arab Emirates in 2019. He has since retired from cricket. The former batsman was also banned in 2008.
So he has a reputation.
This is not a one-off occasion.
No, the other one
I am glad that my friend
Turin,
Glasgow.
they claim that he was,
Yeah. And they're all
his
wrong.
action
But
was.
I'm really
was
happy
not
that
good. But
Glasgow is
it's not
sitting
fair.
here and he knows more about what happened than the International Cricket Council. I'm really happy that he knows that better than the International Cricket Council.
That's sarcasm at this best. You come in with.
Can I say? I mean, I see it. Let's talk about Vibes Cartel for a minute, if you don't mind.
You talk about Vibes Cartel, but as I
Vibes
said,
Cartel is a man who was convicted, right? And then he was freed after appeal to the Privy Council. Now, I did a little reading on it and what happened. What I am told is that Vibes Cartel's people were trying to bribe the jury to find him not guilty. I want that to register. You are charged with a murder. You are trying to bribe, you or your people are trying to bribe the jurors to find you not guilty. And a superior court later on decides that somehow that is a good reason for you not to be in jail. Quite astonishing, don't you think? Quite astonishing. So the next time anybody's charged with murder, what they should do is they should get people to go and try and attempt to bribe a juror, right? So that they can get off. That's astonishing.
but-
I mean, I
but-
could understand if you were
but
trying to bribe the people to find them guilty.
But the person who tried
Wow.
a briber, what you do? You got life in prison, right?
He was originally sentenced for 35 years and it was subsequently reduced to 32 years.
Mhm.
But of course, he ended up serving, I think, between 10 and 13 years, depending upon. He was put in jail in 21, I believe. Sorry, in 2011, they said, and freed in 2024. But I just find it absolutely astonishing. You know, I always try to equate it to what I would like my children, because if it isn't good enough for my children, it shouldn't be good enough for others. All right, because to me, it really is that simple. As my good Christian friends like to say, you know, do unto others as you'd like to have it done unto you. That's a simple golden rule, and it's a very good rule.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, listen to the man's lyrics. Listen to what he promotes, and he's making ads now promoting St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Wow.
If the majority of people like, and listen, let me tell you something. I have no doubt that this is really, really good politics. Because I have no doubt that when he comes back before the next elections and he has one of these massive 25,000 people concert and all the young people jump up and down,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? And if we're happy with that kind of society, right? I think the reason you're seeing so much talk about this because the NDP hasn't said a word. As a matter of fact, on a previous radio station, a gentleman named Troy Prince called in, and he's known to be a supporter of the NDP, I'm told, to defend Vibes Cartel.
What?
And having him in St. Vincent and promoting him with our government resources. And of course, he gets to wear a camouflage outfit that I can't wear.
Yeah.
He gets to go into the Prime Minister and have breakfast with him wearing it. It's amazing to me that we cannot see right from wrong. We're just blinded.
Imagine if I want to see Prime Minister to have breakfast, I might have a satisfied if he just comes off the table for cartel coming after being convicted for killing somebody.
Yeah.
To me,
it's just astonishing that we're incapable. And I mean that, our brains are wired in a certain way that the vast majority are not capable of seeing right from wrong. They could only see what they're wired to see. And in our country, you're wired red or yellow. And that's 80% of the country.
But that's sad. That's sad.
But
That's where we are.
But he just made the point that supporters of the NDP have no problem with cartel.
A supporter.
correct.
A supporter.
Supporters. He talk about a supporter, and I have no doubt that there are a number of Vincentians who have no problem with cartel lyrics, whether you are NDP or ULP, have no problem with the lyrics that the man, deliver. I made the point that not me. I don't go down that road. I can't support. I had to travel in a van, and my God, it had times when I have to, say to van drivers, listen, this is early morning, you have school children, hear the kind of lyrics that you have in this van.
But Glasgow,
You
your
know?
party has the ability to stop this, and they refuse to do it. Why wouldn't they do it?
Stephen,
You
if
don't
we go
see this
down,
in
if
other
we go down
countries.
the party road, what is happening in the vans?
Yes.
It is not and remember that it is not about my party.
Who's in the government? Who's
Yes,
running the
I
government?
understand that, but I'm saying that it is not nothing new. It is not nothing
So
new.
when-
And let me tell you
when do
something.
we stop it?
If the government,
Uh-huh,
I guarantee you, if the government decide,
uh-huh,
and you talk about age, and it's so good to
uh-huh.
age, because some of the things that I supported, and I stood idly by and said nothing. I'm not going to do that now. In terms of when you're out in opposition, you play politics with the issue of crime, and when you get into government, you realize nothing you could do about it. All the effort you would have made and tried, you can't deal with the problem. So I'm saying, Stephen, clearly, the issue of the lyrics and so on was there, the vans and so on was there from not now. It was there. The NDP didn't do anything about it. If the government now decide that it's going to take any action, I guarantee you that you would be hearing the politics, those who are prepared to play politics with it.
Kingsley,
Guarantee you.
you remember 4 or 5 years ago when the government said they were going to shut down the band music and all the noise in the
Yeah,
bands? You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to remind
But
people,
but there's
and nothing was done. And by the way, how come when I go to other countries, they don't behave like that? I don't hear that in Barbados.
but
I
there's
don't hear it in
the,
St.
but there's these
I don't hear it in Trinidad. I certainly don't hear it in civilized countries like North America. But maybe this is part of our Caribbean civilization, that anybody could do what they like, and we're afraid to touch anything because of politics.
Yeah.
Because it will be, because we appeal to the lowest common denominator, right? And the lowest common denominator keeps electing us and voting for us, and we're all very happy with that.
But there's these for some regulation in terms of the van and how they conduct themselves as business persons. But let me use the opportunity to say good night to all those
My
persons
friend.
looking at us on Facebook.
We have a situation where the inmates are basically running the asylum. This is what I see, right? We can't touch the vans because the vans are a law unto themselves now, because nobody has the courage, the political courage, to say this is wrong. Stop doing it. We're cutting out music in your vans. Not music, everything. You're not allowed to have a sound system in your van, period. End of story. Like in other civilized countries. We like to claim we're a Caribbean civilization and we're so good. And yet this is what we're allowed to happen. We know that this is hurting our children. We know the kind of lyrics being played on these things. Abusive lyrics promoting gangsterism, and we fail to see a connect. Imagine your young child getting into a van every single day, and all they're hearing is this boom, boom. First of all, you're half deafening the bloody children. And all they're hearing is these grotty, nasty, horrible lyrics promoting violence and gangsterism as though it's a wonderful thing. And you want to tell me you really believe that this has no impact on our children? Again, if you want to tell me you believe that, I'm cool with that. You go right ahead, buddy. But then don't turn around and try and complain and blame everybody else or something else for what's happening in our country. If you don't deal with the little things that you have control over. 55 murders in a year. 55 murders. One of the highest murder rates in the world. What's causing that?
You have any WhatsApp? We noticed that a lot of people up there. Anything you want to comment on what they say?
I'll have to go through that one because that's a lot, and normally they have their own conversation. But
Yeah.
someone here writes, they shed light to an article that was published by Asbot News Network, came out of St. Kitts, where police to strictly enforce curfew law on minors. Right. Let me just a brief. The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force has announced that it will be strictly enforcing a long-standing law aimed at curbing the loitering of minors on the streets after 10 p.m. The move is part of an effort to enhance public safety and protect young people from potential risk. The question asked here, ouch. All right, let's just get this up on the screen. It says, this same law is going to be passed in Antigua in 6 days. Can you ask the panel what are their thoughts on that same law being introduced in St.
Repeat
Vincent?
again what age group you said then?
They have
the top of the age
they
group?
just said minors.
Minus, basically under 18.
Under the age of 16.
Under 16.
Under 16.
I have no problem with that.
Because they have something in there. They said the law outlined the Section 15 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act of St. Christopher Nevis prohibits children under the age of 16 from wandering or loitering in public spaces during late hours without a legitimate reason. Police officers are empowered to stop any minor found in violation of this law and escort them to the nearest police station. The child will remain in police custody until they are released to
I
their
hope they have
parents.
very big police
Oh, you
stations up
get-
there. Because I don't know how that works. But again, we all know it, we see it. And I repeat again, who are the ones committing the murderers? Well, generally, it's young men we're talking about in our society who we seem to be forgetting about.
Good evening, Max.
All right, we have a caller. We would have to use the
Sure,
headphone
go
for
ahead.
this one. Eh?
Hey, Max.
Good night, Stephen.
Hey, Max, buddy, how are you, man?
Good. I want to publicly again thank you for calling me out on the radio station the other morning.
No problem, buddy.
I just want to publicly thank you because I am a Vybz Kartel fan. And because I am a Vybz Kartel fan, I ignore the damage that I was witnessing being done to my country.
Yep.
And you called me out, Stephen.
Yep.
And I had to sit back and listen to you to understand what you said, Stephen, versus listening to you to respond.
Yep. Thank you, Max. I appreciate that,
And
buddy.
I want St. Vincent to be, Stephen, I mean, one thing with Max, I'm not afraid to say me wrong.
Yep.
Because if you're not wrong, you cannot grow.
Yep.
And because of you, you helped me to grow to be a better Vincentian.
Thank you, my
And
friend.
I sit back and I watch the situation. Why Vybz Kartel come to St. Vincent? The first step Vybz Kartel took, he broke a law.
Yep, correct.
The very first step he took in our country,
Yep.
he broke the law. And we embrace him and say, come on, you're breaking the law, but come on.
Yep.
And we have to call that for what it is. He breaking the law in front of our eyes.
Yep.
Our Prime Minister embrace him while breaking the law. Our Minister of National Security embrace him while he's breaking the law. And if we can't see something wrong with that as a people, we deserve the pressure that we are experiencing right now. A leader cannot lead with integrity if the people don't have integrity. Me can't come to your house if it's clean with my dirty boots unless you're dirty. If your house dirty, me could walk up in your house with me dirty boots. If your house clean, me have to leave me dirty boots at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And we as Vincentians are all dirty if we accepting them thing you're making excuse for dirtiness. It's not politics, it's our culture.
Yep.
We need a mental shift.
Yep.
So Stephen, I want to say thank you for making me a better Vincentian. Because last week I was defending Vybz Kartel and I sit back and I observe, I said, Max, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror and I can't lie to myself. I look in the mirror and say, Max, you are a hypocrite. And if you say you love St. Vincent, like you say you love St. Vincent, you have to accept the fact you were wrong.
Max, I think it takes
That's right.
it takes very, you know me already. I always tell people you don't have to agree with me. I want you to think for yourself. I want you
Okay,
to
then.
ask yourself the question, does this make sense? You just made an excellent point. Too often we're just ready to respond to somebody because we want to get our point across. We don't listen to
Okay.
what they're saying to say. So I agree. Thank you very much for those wise and sensible comments, and I appreciate it. and
And
hopefully they
appreciate
said,
it.
think for yourself and make up your own mind, guys. But let's be clear about what's really happening here and what the impact is.
So-
Somebody landed on our country, breaking the law from the very beginning, and continued to do it,
So
and was allowed to go to our prime minister's residence.
Could I be enlightened as to what law because
it is illegal for you to wear a
The
camouflage.
camouflage. The
Oh.
camouflage. He was wearing a
Yeah.
camouflage pants. He
Yeah.
was wearing a camouflage pants, and I'm not talking no
And
PCS.
Max, I be working by the airport all my life, right? And sometimes I hear people come out and making noise. They think they make a noise.
Well,
This is when the custom
Kingsley,
confiscate their
them
camouflage.
they take away my they took away my camouflage before, so I'm not talking from second-hand information. I had a camouflage shirt,
Yeah.
and they took it away, and the customs lady cut it up in front of me at ET. This was at ET Joshua Airport, not at Argyle. They cut it up.
But I heard I heard of a case where a guy who was in the British
Yeah, the traffic rules.
Yes.
came to St. Vincent
Yeah,
for his son a funeral,
Yeah,
and they told him that he couldn't wear
yeah, you're from home.
his uniform. Yeah, so I don't know how could we allow that to happen. I remember a case to where a little fella, and I laughed when my friend took this little guy to Barbados with an army suit, and they took it.
Yeah, it's
literally, a baby I'm talking about. So that was amusing to me.
Yeah.
So again, I am in totally. I don't know why the custom in the first place would have allowed him to come through, and the police.
I believe he was escorted by Candyman, was he not?
Yeah, hoping
He was-
Canada
he
to
was-
call and justify
I
that.
don't care
He was-
who
he was escorted by
escorted
Candyman,
by.
but
The
then-
police had a right to, if it is
Enforce
against
the
the law,
constitution, yes.
to wear
But he was also-
camouflage, and he shouldn't be allowed to wear it.
Yes.
he was embraced by the Minister of National Security, but on the flip note that during COVID, one bar was told to shut down and another bar had party. What are we doing? But there's another topic for another day. Thank you, guys.
We're following
Okay,
the British
Max.
example. Max, thanks for the
All
call,
right.
buddy.
All right.
No, we're following, we're
Four,
following the
five,
British example.
799.97. You can use that as your WhatsApp or your regular line. And if you have a digital phone, it's 532-9997. Camouflage, Vibes Cartel, Friday gone on holiday. When the people in the grand, they need more. All kind of topic we can talk about on the open forum. We have any WhatsApp where you want to punch in it to come on and make sure that you read it. If it ain't worthwhile, treat it bin. Don't read it.
No, well, I mean, someone is saying this, and I've heard this more than once, right? It says, and I'm gonna leave out. But before we go there, let's say this caller.
Good evening. Good evening.
But anyways,
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
You know something that amazed me about Vincentian? Now I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
If now that he have his daughter, and his daughter now decide to friend with Marlon Samuel,
Yeah.
what will his approach to his daughter not to friend with him? And if she insists, what will he do?
That's a very, that's
No, you know, everybody talking about cartel, this, cartel that. And eventually, what about that the NDP claims now that they want to sell passport? What about the criminals where they want to sell the passport?
How you linking the cartel thing with selling passport? How you linking that?
No, I reach because I said.
You know, if I
what
had the
said-
control in me, I'd have cut you off. Cause you talking nonsense. Seriously, no, because I really want to know how you linking the issue of cartel with the people selling of passport from thing like that. You sound like a European
Yeah,
fanatic.
but what I'm saying, Kingsley, that you have other people, if NDP get in power and have to sell passport, and then the same cartel have to get a passport from St. Vincent, the same way with the thing and St. Vincent.
Caller, are you aware that the majority of countries in the Caribbean have economic citizenship investment program? Are you aware that the United States
Yes, but
does it? Are you aware that the
I
United
don't know.
Kingdom does
No,
it?
you have so much criminals that would take place in St. Vincent that people go on abroad.
What do we think about the investor? What do we think about the guy who was investing in
the other
Buckingham?
countries that
What do we
they
think?
do crimes in St. Vincent? That are
What
talking
do we
about.
think? What do we think about an investor in the country who got a passport, right? and left the country owing millions of dollars. What do we think about that? You see, we need to stop this politic, the cheap politicking things at people. If you want to have a realistic discussion about the benefits and the pros and the cons against economic citizenship, have that discussion.
And you know what?
But don't try and go down this road.
What I agree. I agree. I have a conversation. Every other organization, they criticizing everything. I don't know what's in the
No,
government
but then,
right now.
no. That's
You know?
exactly the role of the media,
watch,
sir.
I
You
go
missed the
on, man.
point of the media. The media is called the fourth estate for a reason. The media does not exist to support one party or another. The media is supposed to hold those in power accountable. That's our role, whether it
I
is
tell you, man,
NDP
if
or
I was in
ULP, or when they
country,
do
I'd
things
cut
we
you off so
disagree with, we should bring it to people's attention. That is the role of the media. That's what it's supposed to be. It is not supposed to be like in the United States where you have MSNBC and Fox News, two sets of lunatics on one side or the other. Our role, as far as I am concerned, as the media, is to speak truth to power, to tell them when we think they do wrong things. And yeah, when you do a good thing, great, happy for that. But that's what you're supposed to do. But when you're doing things that we think are wrong or disagree, that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to be cheerleaders for the government. That's not our role. Sorry.
All right. Okay, so we have a couple of things here, right? So now, see when that we're here. Okay, so I go back to this one. It says the court found the man not guilty. Why should you now treat him as a criminal?
Sorry?
This person says, right, that the court found the man not guilty, as referring to
The
Vybz
court
Kartel.
found him not guilty on a
Yeah.
technicality,
Right.
right?
Why should you now treat him as a criminal?
I'm first of all, he came in here and he did something that was wrong, which is wearing outfits. The man speaks. I'm not.
But I
Let's
don't
let's
blame
ignore his
on
criminal
that.
conviction.
I really don't blame Cartel. I blame the authority for allowing Cartel to wear the. I don't know if he knew that it was illegal to wear a camouflage.
No, we
I
haven't
don't
gone to the camouflage
Let's ignore
yet
the
because
fact. Let's ignore the fact that he was convicted.
That's what Stephen is talking about in terms of him breaking the law by wearing the
no. Well,
camouflage,
there was
yeah.
actually part two of
Let's-
this question
Okay.
referring to
Right.
camouflage. So maybe I should just read the entire question and then we could deal with it, right? Says the court found the man not guilty. Why should you now treat him as a criminal? I hope you all wouldn't like to be in the court system labeled as a criminal once you have won your case. Max and Stephen, why didn't an immigration officer let him know those camouflage gears
Because
are
he
not
was a
allowed in
Candyman.
St. Vincent?
You don't think Candyman knew that and he didn't tell him? You think anybody in this country, a police officer, is going to challenge the prime minister's practically right-hand man to say, "Oh, this is the guest of the prime minister, and this is how you're treating him"? You think that's really going to happen? Really? Oh, okay. All right. Now let's talk about the criminal thing. Let's ignore the fact that he was convicted of murder, right? Let's ignore that because he got off on a technicality after subsequently. But let's talk about the Jamaica Observer telling us that this is a man who led a gang in Jamaica responsible for more than 100 murders in the country. Let's just talk about that first. Let's look at the lyrics that the man says. Let's ignore the fact that he's a, do we really want those kinds of people here in our country promoting our tourism product? Is that what we really want? Ignore the fact that ignore all the criminal stuff. Let's just talk about a man who writes those kind of lyrics about promoting gangsterism, promoting murder, promoting violence basically, and sexual assault against women. That's the kind of person we want to big up as a hero in our country. That's what we really want to do. If you guys are comfortable with that, I'm cool, you know. You go right ahead, but I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it.
Good evening.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm just calling on the issue about the camouflage clothes. I know that I wore my camouflage clothes right into the Central Police Station along with some SOP big officials, and I was never told anything.
You just consider yourself lucky.
Okay?
Just
No, it's not lucky because I continue to wear it and nobody is saying anything. So I don't know what's the problem with the issue.
Okay, let me tell you what the issue is, young lady, okay? Is a British citizen, has been sanctioned serving in the British Army, comes to St. Vincent, wearing his army outfit for, I believe, to attend the funeral of his family member, his mother or whatever, And he was told to remove it, and he was treated very badly at the airport, I am told, about that outfit. The fact that you could wear it doesn't make it right. It's against the law.
Yes, I know, but
So that
what
is the
I'm
big thing.
really
You broke the
saying-
law. When you walked into that police station, you broke the law. If you
Well, they should
knowingly
have
broke the
told
law,
me
that's even
something.
worse.
That's what I'm saying. They
But-
should have said something, but they
They
didn't
should
say
have.
anything.
Exactly correct. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, that's
fully
what
with you.
that's what I'm just trying to say. I'm
But
not
we
making
live-
an issue out of it.
But we live in a country where laws are selectively enforced all the time, depending on who
Yeah.
you are and what you are and who you know. We know this.
But then those who supposed to enforce.
Okay, thank you.
You're
those
welcome. Thanks
are-
for the call.
Those are the ones who are at fault.
Well, she wore it there several times, and she must be a vision of loveliness.
Kingsley, there is a,
She has to be a vision of
you know,
loveliness.
Kingsley, that there is a law here that trucks carrying rubber and so on supposed to have
Yeah,
it's supposed to be properly
Tarpaulins or
secured.
whatever. Yeah.
Tarpaulin, and so on. They were given a grace period. So look, by so and so, everybody should have their tarpaulin.
Somebody said on WhatsApp.
That has long gone.
They want to
Nothing has
ask,
changed.
Glasgow, they asking if we accept him lawless in business.
If
If we accept him lawless, are we becoming a lawless country?
I'm not accepting that. I'm just making the point here. So there is a law that trucks shouldn't be carrying stuff unprotected, but it happens all the time.
Come on,
Yeah.
any interested comment up there? A commentary up there?
We have a caller.
Okay, we'll jump in there then. Hey, good evening.
Hello, Kingsley, good night. Long time I ain't talk, boy, but that's a nice conversation for soul searching, for soul searching, eh?
Yes, I tell you.
One, I agree that somebody should notify cartel and say X, Y, Z, 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 right?
Yes.
Okay, but here one the problem I have, right? That's a reflection of a symptom of our society. Eh? Authority, free to question. Taking this opportunity to talk about some symptoms that we have in our society that need to be tackled.
Yes.
Maybe, I hope we don't have political jaundice eye when we're talking about this immorality and this law-breakingness, right? But I just want to say this. We have a people who actually, two sets of people that we have. One who outspoken and like to see things. Them in a I like to see things. Them in a minority. A whole set of we and emotional and passion. And so, let me cut a long story start. One time I was in a meeting. The authoritative person responsible to conduct the meeting make a point that it have no written drum music. I said that ain't so. It have written drum music. I bring my book tomorrow. You know when the session done, individual is calling me. That I embarrassed such and such and such. I embarrassed the person. You can understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. How dare you challenge?
Not to
The
challenge, to
authority.
educate, to talk the truth.
Well, that's how they see it. That's how they see
Okay,
it.
because now, so that is something we have to question. Sometimes we only deal with the issue because we could see personal and political benefits in a small corner. We don't look at the broader same problem that we have to solve. Yes, some the issue about these Van Nuys and all that culture that evolved in our country. It ain't go with the city man here, you know. The city man come meeting. You follow where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, okay.
So here, so there's a lot of problems that we face. Neglecting, marginalizing one another, and scanning one another, disrespecting ideas, etc. I could get another issue. One time I was in an association. I do a project. What will I build up the association if it happen? Sitcom. You know, people come from Jamaica here to deal with the situation, to film 5 climate change symptoms. From 5 sitcom. I know because of the individual go look good in tongue. So you humble that? Stevie, you believe that?
No, boy, I have to. If you're saying so, I have to believe you.
I have evidence.
Yeah.
This is something that now I used to grow up, right? And see some people from some era getting marginalized.
Yep.
Have great contribution to make.
Yep.
But I couldn't understand. It's now I've seen it and understanding where it's coming from. So I want to cut a long story short, right? We have a lot of prejudice, a lot of jealousy,
Yep.
a lot of greed, ignorance, and a desire, a lacking an understanding process.
Yep.
You follow where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
People do not see the understanding the process of something. And after we only see the thing, but we see, we grab, and we eat and defecate.
Yep.
We do not reason widely. If my partner, I like my partner,
Yep.
I don't like the man, and my partner say, this and that body man, you don't question your partner.
Yep.
You jump in, and you start to castigate the man.
Yep.
All right, that's the attitude we have here.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Good point.
Now, I want to end by quoting a verse from a poem. The time is now, is right now, to be willing to walk, to believe this yoke of false pride and disrespect. Vincentian, only then will we move forward together. Good night.
Yeah. Let me say good evening to Mrs. Alexander. I would like somebody to call somebody who has legal training and understand, because I understand, Glasgow, that there is a lot on the book saying that we should not wear camouflage looking uniform like what the police normally wear. Somebody is saying there is no law on the books justifying what Cartel did was right. So we need somebody. Well, Mr. Del Fresh was here last night at Juma Thomas program. Hope you listen and he could call and clarify that issue for us, because I am under the impression it's illegal.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Kingsley, like you said, I am under the impression that it is. But the question there is that I am not sure, like you aren't.
Yeah, but
that,
I respond to
that it is a law.
Yeah.
That a law is there preventing that from happening, or if it is just a policy of the police.
Yes.
The military.
Because
that.
So I was told that it is a law in most Caribbean islands because of an event that happened back in the 1970s, apparently. And it is a law, is my understanding. Lawyers have told me this is a law. So I have no reason to doubt it.
and Stephen Jokins, one caller calling earlier and said she went into the police station several times with a camouflage outfit. Somebody just sent a WhatsApp there and say it is not law. And we are beating a dead horse.
We have somebody up here saying that camouflage is banned in most Caribbean islands, and Jamaica is one of them.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll be speaking to Sylvie.
That last caller, I want to thank him in particular, because I didn't hear him making any overt political points, but what he was really talking about, in my view, is the insanity in the society in which we live.
Yes.
Where suddenly victimization that occurred under the NDP is suddenly wrong under the ULP. And And when the NDP come back in, we'll do the same thing to each other.
And it
This is the problem I have with
and-
political parties.
and
We
if- and if you come back in-
we are so when they eventually, which they will, everybody gets their turn, you know. Remember that. Huh? You always remember that. Everybody gets their turn. Now, once you're in a reasonable type of a democracy, no,
You're allowed
not like Venezuela, you lock up the opposition
You're
leader, tell him
allowed
he
to-
can't run,
No,
and then you
no.
jump up and down and
Labour-
say he win the election.
Labour Party, tell them the Labour Party never got back in.
Here's something, right?
They had to fold up.
We've been going over 50 minutes without any break. So compliments, Basis Bar. Let's take a break and come back.
Yes.
With host Kingsley De Freitas this and every Tuesday night from 8 p.m. for 2 full hours, right here on WeFM 99.9. Join him as he brings different guests weekly on this informative and interactive program. It's Feedback. To be a part of the Feedback program, call us at 457-9997 or send us a WhatsApp at 457-9997. It's Feedback.
Whatever you are celebrating, birthdays, anniversaries, engagements, retirement, or just celebrating life, the place to be is at Basil's Bar Kingstown. Established for over 38 years, we are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an exquisite ambiance. We have a set menu and 3 a la carte menus to choose from, and we are flexible to all requests. We go above and beyond to serve you. Basil's Bar Kingstown, where it's more than just a meal, it's an adventure. Call for reservations at 457-2713.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's back! Leave me alone. Oh, I beg you, come off me, boy.
Yeah, 3 minutes after 9 in St. Vincent and the Granny. Let me say good evening to my sister Anne-Marie De Freitas. Good evening, Janet Matthews. Janet Matthews, I hear you come back. Yeah, I say good evening to Mrs. Nelsia Barbo listening to us in the States and all those persons. Casper Davis, Glasgow is the first time I've seen Casper Davis over 20 years.
That's why he's here.
Yeah, remember his dad died, Noble Davis.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Casper.
I haven't seen him in years.
In that
In Glasgow, see me, he was so effective in cricket that Winston Benjamin break his hand, so he could make West Indies team.
Yeah,
He was. I thought at that time he was better than Nick McLean.
Yeah, he should have made it even before.
Cameron Coffey.
Before then, Big Stars was saying that he should have been there.
Yeah, Max.
Yeah, my question: if the camouflage law, if the camouflage thing is not a law, would it be safe to say my rights was violated by a customs officer by taking away my clothes?
Well, if it is not law, of course your rights was violated.
The lawyers I've spoken to said me it's a loss. So I don't care what people want to argue about.
Well, I was told by an officer while on duty, it's
it's a
illegal to possess camouflage.
Correct.
So, and my whole thing now, if it's indeed a law, by that woman who says she went to a police station with camouflage.
Well, Max, what I want.
But from time to time, though,
Max,
I see
Max,
people
what I wanted to say to
wearing
her, I couldn't say it
camouflage
on
in
the
this
radio.
country. From time to
But
time, I see
what I'm
persons
saying is,
wearing it.
what I'm saying is the police who allow these people to come in the police station with camouflage if it's a law, they took an oath to serve and protect and uphold the law.
Max, you hear what I said last night, a while ago? She must be a beauty to behold.
But what I'm saying is, do we want a better St. Vincent and the Grenadines for everybody? And something as simple as camouflage we can't get right? Yep. If we can't get this right, how we expect to get the most complex crimes right? 1 + 1 is 2, no? But if we can't get simple maths correct, how we gonna tackle algebra? We not even reach calculus yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't a serious road, guys.
Truth, buddy, truth.
To be honest,
Yep.
we don't a serious. We can't get the simple things correct.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we wanna tackle the complex things. Why you think Grenada is so far ahead of us? Why you think Barbados is so far ahead of us? Why you think Mustique as a company is so far ahead of us? Pun intended by using Mustique.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right then.
Yeah, let me say good evening to my
anybody
friend.
who's far ahead of
I hope
us,
he's listening. Becker mate, I hope you're listening. And we know that our friend Glasgow is listening. Anita's listening in Canada, but she playing hard to get to the way she not call.
I want to go back to the caller before. What's his name here?
Max?
No,
Oh, Chateau Picnic?
Chateau Picnic.
Yeah.
And like Stephen said, he made some very good points. He talked about, the things that are accepted in this country.
Yeah.
And Stephen was making the point about the music that is being, the lyrics that is being played in our public transport.
Yes.
He point finger at the government. I am saying that the people, again, it comes where we are accepting things. Because if the people, the churches, they get out there and they're marching against gun violence, which they could march from now till Dyking down, come nothing they could do about it. The march is going to do about it. Issues like these is what the people, if the people, but it's clear that the people has accepted that type of behavior and lifestyle, they have no problem with it. So then why should the government touch it? Because if the government touch it, then you know what is going to happen to the government.
I'll tell you what my perception of that is, Glasgow, right? Is that, and again, a lot of people will disagree with me on this. I think you don't elect governments to do what you want. You elect governments to lead you and to do better, because the majority of people are ignorant. They don't know what's in their best interest. They only think about what's in their best interest today and tomorrow. They don't think what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years, 20 or 30 years. And to me, that is why you elect leaders who their job is to show you their vision for the future and to show how you get there and to make the effort to get us there. Because the reality, otherwise, if all we're doing is always appealing to the lowest common denominator, you're in a death spiral. You're going down. And in my view, that's what we're seeing in the country. We're seeing an increase in crime because our society, and Glasgow's right about this, our society is a mess. And you could say, why is our society a mess, right? And there are numerous reasons for that. We spent all night talking about that.
Also gone?
So, you know.
Also gone? Okay. 45799 97
But it's okay.
799.
Let me just ask a question. How do you curb something like this when you have when the parents that you're dealing with are practically children?
Yeah.
I think you curb things by starting to enforce the laws you have and stop playing political favoritism. This government did it, is doing it. The last government did it, and the next government is going to keep doing this. And I go back to what our role on the media is. Our role in the media is to try and put pressure on people who happen to be in positions of power to do things better and to improve that. I say I've been preaching this for 15 or 20 since Chester Force invited me on his radio station 25 years ago. We got to do the things right. We have laws in our country, enforce them. If you're not going to enforce them and they're wrong laws, then change the laws. That's what you were elected for.
Yes.
We don't see that level of leadership. 5 years ago, the government said they were to shut down the noise in the vans.
Never
They
come.
enforced it for maybe 2 weeks, if I recall correctly.
Good evening.
Hello, good night. I want to make a point here. Politicians come out with society. You agree with me, brother?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So the society and most politicians just check vote.
Yep.
Sometimes, but what it has certain leaders. Now me put it simple. It has what I call politicians and
Yeah, the politician is
I don't know.
saying-
I don't know if this has changed, but the last time I was in Barbados, the public government-owned transportations, they don't have. I think they just have a regular radio.
Radio, yeah.
But the private transportation, they had amplified systems.
You have a caller. Good evening. Good evening. We have
We
another
missed
one.
a caller. Let's
We have another one. Good evening.
You have a different experience than me in Barbados.
Good evening.
I didn't see that.
you didn't say that.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Is that WFM?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm calling in regard to the camouflage material.
Yes, sir.
It is law. SRNO 3938 of 1998.
There you go.
And I read that camouflage style, military style camouflage material or uniform is prohibited except imported for the use by the police or military personnel.
That's my impression.
That's the law.
And it came into effect on the 1st of December 1998, almost 26 years ago.
Thank you very much for. No one can therefore argue what the law is. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, SRNO 38 of 1998.
Thank you.
Of 1998.
Excellent.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling. That's some education.
Guess
for
we have
us.
no argument now, right?
Yes.
Hopefully.
So the lady who wear the camouflage, she
You're
has to-
doing something illegal.
She has to be
No,
somebody.
you shouldn't do it again. Try
Good,
not to
good
do it.
evening.
Hello, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
My brother joking.
Yes.
I want to say this, please, sir. Mr. Friday have not get a turn yet for us to see what he's doing. And he said plain and straight, he's not there to victimize anyone. Simply is too small.
You believe
Let
that?
us have this government thing
You-
and
and you believe that?
I will listen off here.
Thank you
because
very
I don't
much.
have enough.
Great. Thank you. Again.
She said Friday
We
would not.
admire all these, but we heard that before, you know. We heard that all the time.
I don't know that Dr. Gonzalez victimizes anyone.
But here you are paying the
Marcus de Freitas has not been paid for his property yet.
I don't know
That's
that
not victimization.
Dr. Gonzalez victimized anyone.
We are building a court of
Oh,
justice.
amazing.
We are building a court of justice on somebody's land that we have obtained in an unjust manner. All do you think about that? We got to say when right is right. And just as when he does good things, we say, Ralph, well done. You built an airport. Well done. You know, you've talked about adding more policemen. You build traditional schools. You build
Education
traditional.
revolution.
I have no problem saying
Building a
that.
hospital
But
coming
what
soon.
you're also doing is wrong by not paying Marcus the money that is owed to him. Because you know what's going to happen? The taxpayers of this country will end up paying a hell of a lot more.
Oh, yes.
Because that interest on that is running. So at some point, Marcus, who happens to be a sort of a family member to mine, and I know him, I've known him for a lot of years. And when Marcus had the cement place in that area, I was one of the people on the radio and TV saying this is wrong.
Yes.
Shouldn't be allowed. I have no problem with the government taking it away from him. But they had to pay the man. And when he goes to court and he gets a judgment, how do you build a house of justice or building of justice on an unjustly obtained piece of land that you won't pay for to this day?
Well,
How does that work?
So that's probably where it started.
And some people get upset with me for saying that.
Yeah.
Guys, let's do
No,
things
but
right.
I know nobody can be upset with you for calling on the government. If
Call
there is
God?
a judgment that that Marcus should be paid, the government definitely should be paying Marcus. And I agree with you in terms of what this site is earmarked for.
It's a hall of justice or building of justice, whatever. It's really going to have a lot of courts and courts things and so on, I believe. Because I noticed that finally knocked down the old building there too. So we'll see.
I saw that.
If you're hearing us, 457-9997, let us know if we are still on here. I'm wondering if there is.
Glasgow, hey, elections coming in December. What do you say?
December next year.
December 25.
25.
25.
Sorry,
yeah, no
24.
problem.
Sorry. I forgot what year it is.
No, I don't believe it's going to be December.
If you were advising the Prime Minister, would you call elections now?
Not December 25.
I would call it. If I was the Prime Minister, I'd call election in 4 weeks' time. The minimum necessary.
Yes.
Why?
Why give the opposition more time to get ready and prepare?
Oh, you're right.
Ralph and the government now have so much money because of Hurricane Beryl and all of these things.
But
What are you waiting for?
I think the
That's my
opposition
So much money and
has
suffering.
been behaving as though election was going to be since 2023. The way the
They
opposition.
have the candidates and so on in many areas. So what are they going to be ready?
Who
But King's-
NDP?
How are they going to be ready if they don't have candidates and all that?
Well, that's how they were behaving. I'm not saying that in terms of their candidates.
But
But
any-
as you talk about that, I understand, Kingsley, that in Western Georgia there is another
So we have 4 postal trying.
prospective candidate.
Kibakas,
Louis Mitchell, the
Louis
other guy.
Mitchell, Mr. Cupid, and who else?
Yeah.
I don't know of any other.
Oh,
Okay.
So
But by the way, did you congratulate Kingsley?
Western Georgia.
Kingsley has taken over the Green Party from Ivan.
He,
So you now have 4 political parties
he
to
never
choice.
told me that.
He didn't tell you. Huh?
Never
See,
told me that.
he's
I'm
keeping
now
secrets
knowing.
from you. So we got to jump on the bandwagon now. Huh?
I
Kingsley,
prefer to
jumping on the
take over Funeral Home and take over the Green Party.
But I think, Steve, you recognize too, as you said, that a lot of things are happening in the country. I went to North Windward, just yesterday, and you have a lot of bridges, river defense, sea defense. In Maracor, you go to Maracor, a lot of roads are being done at present. Kingsley, you're the taxi man in Western Georgia, throughout
You look it up.
the
But
community.
since you mentioned, I think, Western Georgia, there's a playing field, I think, up in Ribishi, in Eastern Georgia, Camillus constituency, that I believe was paid for by the government, whether it's via the lottery or not, is not for me to say. They built up this thing with a retaining wall that was totally inappropriate.
You want
Wall
to follow
totally
him?
fell down. I would like to know what action was taken against the contractor who built that. And which engineers in Bragshaw or wherever it is in the government was responsible
Yeah,
for
but-
supervising that, because once again, it's our taxpayer money
You have a call.
that is not accountable for.
Good evening.
Yes, stranger, good night.
Janet Matthews.
Don't call up my name and name, please.
Janet
When I
Matthews.
did looking for when I was looking for you, you didn't look for me. Please,
Jesus.
do not call up my name. Listen to me before I put down. At last, when they're going to give me a bus shed for when we come and we got the road.
Apparently put that right by Miss Craig got there?
Right, so the mango tree in right there.
Oh, okay.
And I hope and trust in Joke my 12 me asking them for fix this road they gave me. I hope they will fix it. They start to fix the main road is right. And that is taxpayers' money. So me know what you're talking about.
Well, I figure they will fix you when the time is right, because they want to maintain having that vigorous voice campaigning for them next election. And
Have a blessed night, okay? Thank you.
Janet, you ought to continue to have that voice.
And I ask you, you don't call me, continue to do what?
to support and to promote the
yeah, so
ULP.
much or something,
You ought to.
Yeah. Okay.
Boy, you give me a cat, huh? Let me say good night to my good friend and his friend Canada.
Yeah. I have a pass of pussy.
Thank you, Mr. Han and Barbie.
I have a pass of pussy we bring
I
from me.
understand my Anne Marie here. Yes, sister, let me say good night to her.
Yeah, she's in Simmons at the moment. Yes. Yeah.
I hope I will meet her before she left.
Okay.
We will be on the campaign trail whenever the bell is rung.
Have a blessed night, Mr. The Freitas and my good friend, Mr. Steven. Please, good night.
I'm not your good friend. Okay.
Have a wonderful
I am your
evening.
neighbor.
Let me hear what Bongo Shaka say. Let me hear what he say. Bongo Shaka. No, we answer you that, huh?
Yeah, greetings. Like again, problem man, to send a link there to make sure if it's connecting now. Yeah. Yeah, remember after the storm, a lot of people still in internet, much less, so still give thanks, yeah. Yeah, greetings, brother Stephen Joachim.
Good night.
Yeah, man, give thanks. And Mr. Defender. That's a hard name, no? That one of the best battleships,
Bless you. Good
Defender.
night to you.
Yeah.
Jetful name, no? Jetful and terrible name, man. Yeah, right
The
name.
defender.
Yeah, man. What's a good balance? And I love how we all do your discussion in that love. and courtesy with each other. You know, I
That,
wouldn't say
that, that,
entertain.
that been happening years ago, man. Since up my cross country, man. Years ago.
Yeah, I know. So you're like three musketeers, you know.
Yeah,
one for all for one. One
Yeah,
for all.
we like
Yeah.
Ralph Judah and Camero.
Yeah, give
Well,
that. I laugh with you.
Stephen talking about that. I saw Judah at the airport. I think it's Tuesday.
Really?
He looking well. And make sure you see me because when I see him, I stop in the middle of the road. So you have to stop. You know? So yeah. But you was okay.
You moving like a woman is moving.
Yeah.
When you get in the way that the woman could peep you and
Yeah,
see you. You know what
I make sure Judah see that
So
I see him.
if you're behind the wheel, you step out the door and lean up against your hard ride and fold off with your foot cross and your hand in the pocket so that is a money man, you know. So they get the vibe. That's why you take a page from Kingsley book.
You gotta learn the lesson. Learn the lessons. Learn.
Yeah, man. So yeah, give thanks. You know, as I say, it's very educational, and you have a little humor, which is good to have a joy and laugh in people's life. Or maybe some person I didn't even laugh for the day, but you all give me a laugh day tonight. You know?
But Shaka ain't cutting you out. Woman meet me up Bible the other day. She said, if I have a hard day, I just listen to you, and your laugh is contagious.
Bongo Shaka, can I ask you a question?
Yes, Stephen.
Are you married?
No, Stephen.
Do you
I'm
think
not.
marriage is a good idea?
The way I see things is, and I we come up in a home where my mother and father were married for years. I personally don't love the Western tradition with marriage concern. So I that's why I refrain from it. I many privilege could have been married, you know, even to rich women who have house and don't want me work, and I don't want that. I want a woman mind me.
Right.
You know what I
agree
mean?
with
I
you.
know
A
invalid.
man should be able to look after himself and his family. I agree with that. I don't understand a lot
Yeah,
of young
man.
men
Yeah,
these days.
yeah.
Women look after them. That's,
If I had your skill, I want to marry me.
What's really the benefit? What's the Bongo Shaka? What's the benefit
Yes,
of marriage? What's the benefit of marriage, you think?
It's true you have a woman.
To have sex. That's all?
I don't want to be sex, man.
And Stephen add something to that too. He's a man, right? Some man who never custom getting woman, right? Even how to approach or talk to woman. I watch her coming up and some guys. Them get like a piece of loving up or sex, whatever. Them decide boy marry them because them checking other man go be after woman, and sometimes no love in the relationship, no understand with each other, no strength and weaknesses, and you just can't jump into marriage. That's why it don't last. I always say you gotta live on the roof first, and sometimes you even live on the roof 10, 50 years. Say, sweetheart, let's get married. Right time you're married, mother, everybody start let the rules and who ain't gonna do this and who can, and then everything mash up.
But here's the problem. Here's the real problem I view with marriage. Huh?
Steve,
Let's say you get married to Glasgow, right? There's a prime example here.
Stephen.
Glasgow got married when he was 22 or whatever, or 21.
No,
Are you the same
much
human
older,
being when you're 40?
27.
Are you the same human being when you are 27 as you were when you were 47?
Stephen,
No.
Stephen,
That's the
I
point.
agree with you.
So-
Marriage is
I think marriage is more beneficial to men than it is for women.
to men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bongo Shaka just said it himself.
But
We're confusing sex with a real, genuine love for somebody and caring for somebody.
I don't think
Mike, holy Mike.
I don't think a lot of people even understand, because Stephen mentioned sex in marriage. What is it? You know, I'm thinking, but what really is marriage? As you asked the question,
Right.
Some people think that it's the paper, and is it that?
Yeah.
Even from my understanding way back, I heard that when marriage took place, yes, Bongo. I know Bongo.
I would like to hear what his interpretation of marriage is.
Yes. When marriage took place, it was when, and I'm a Bible person, I believe. It says when the person went in with her, the sons, you understand, of David or whoever, when the marriage only took place when sex. That's my understanding. That is what, because the Bible talk about, you know, two people coming together, being twins, and the only time that they could come together is sexual intercourse that bring them together.
But
And
Stephen, Brother Gaspar almost sound like a Rastafari there.
Well,
you
I
know,
was going to
because
ask you, Bongo Shag,
I-
what's your
right.
what's your religious, you're
Right,
a Rastafarian.
um,
What's your idea of marriage or relationships?
Right. Well, Rastafari not religion, it's a way of life.
Okay,
Okay,
fair
but
enough.
under the
Thank you for
system, they
correcting me.
come under,
Okay.
bring it under to like
No, that's
religion
fine.
and
That's
the own aspect. Right.
But tell
Okay.
me about relationships.
Stephen, as Glasgow said, right,
Yeah.
in the ancient sea,
Yeah.
what it teaches us is that once a man take up a woman, you lay with that woman become your wife. So maybe a lot of man here in St. Vincent have a 10, 15 wife because as a
Well,
man,
I was going to
like
ask you
Buffalo,
that. I want to know how many men out there monogamous and only have one woman,
something. Yeah.
and how many women only have one man, by the way.
But that's
Thank
the
you.
whole thing now.
Thank you.
You know,
We are men
but
and we like
you
to fool
find
ourselves.
the elder people, right, Stephen?
Yes.
The elder people, like say, who born in maybe the 30s, 40s, the percent of them had hold fast to their marriage with the last 40 years. Some woman or man never both each other, never take a hand sex, you know.
That's why my
people
grandfather has so much
the-
outside children, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
some
okay.
people use the Western marriage as sometimes. They want to settle in. A man running up and down plenty, a woman vice versa and decide, you know. So when I look for sex, me have to go run out here. Me woman there is the same looks and everything, you know what I mean? It actually and so on.
Might be
And,
the
you know,
same
so
looks, but they same teeth.
yeah, things, you know.
It's the same everything.
Yeah, but they same teeth.
Yeah.
Same everything.
Some
That's
sweeter
right.
So
than some.
it just depends.
Bongo
It
Shaka.
just depends on
Bongo
the
Shaka.
individual
Bongo
and how you were brought up and your discipline and so on.
Bongo Shaka, of all the men you know in this world, what percentage of them you think are capable of having sex with only one woman and staying with that one woman?
I put myself in
Well,
the category.
Kingsley, Stephen, it's in this era time, it's so hard. There's so much distraction and so much weakness. The weakest part of man is lust.
Yep,
Lusting.
absolutely
And through
correct.
creation,
Yep.
man have gone down because of
Lust.
the lusting of the flesh.
Absolutely right.
You see?
Yep.
And you how the media today, and these women with
Yep.
the curve, especially the food they eating, young girls start to develop on this, and all that, and them women now Western whole thing with the tights and all that, and instantly because you know when Joseph, you know, before Joseph passed, who was Israel, right? I'm gonna give you some little scriptical, right? When he sit down talk to his sons, right? You know what the last lesson he gave them is about beware of women, okay? Because they instill the poison. The poison is, okay, a man will say, oh, you don't have no right to a woman because just how she was. But that's a poison instilled. The woman having her tights, everything is showing, this poison go up straight in the brain instantly. So you have to have a discipline. So in this era time today, you got to be mindful, you know?
All right.
Yeah, but Stephen,
Yes,
let me
sir.
get to at least your question. Me, I wasn't being groomed. My
Right,
question,
right.
I feel like I
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
No
I
problem.
like to learn
because
too, and I like
give
to hear other
thanks to
people's
that.
views.
I give thanks to that, but it's something I want to tell you. Before I had gone to
Right.
what I call basically just what two items there could. First, I'd like to commend you at being a good father in principle towards your son, because
And my
your son is a reflection of you. I
Yes.
listen to your son on a
Oh.
station in the morning. I had to attempt to call him. And you know, he recognized and gave me that credit because after he called Dylan name from a brethren for Jade and
Right.
Tigodan.
Yep.
Then I realized he was going to Sugar Mill Academy also.
Yeah, they all
So
went
when I asked him,
Yeah.
he told me, yeah, he said, look, you used to teach like karate. I said,
Right.
no wonder why you had that discipline, because I remember I teach
Yeah.
karate about
Correct.
5 to 7
Correct.
years.
Yeah.
I and Ivo Providence
Yeah.
and Lauren Williams. We
Yeah.
were the change shop the week. Some of
Yeah.
Ivo go out and camp. I
Yeah,
run the
remember those-
dojo
I
something.
remember those days.
You know,
I remember them well.
yeah. And that's how I get to know Elvis and
Right.
had that respect from Elvis
Right,
and,
right,
and
right.
groom his son.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I say, when I listen to this young youth, I say, wow, this youth is very disciplined. He had to achieve something. So I know it's from the martial arts start. He had that foundation of
Sports, my
discipline
friend. Sports, so critical.
and sports. So,
Yeah.
and I give thanks. You brought him up in good. I can see
That's
it because as we say, our student a reflection of the teacher.
Yep.
Because and Stephen, you see I across Coconut Grove there, right?
Yep,
What I
yep.
did when you see I there,
Yeah.
I goes to lawyer Graham Baller's home.
Yep.
And I teach his son. I'm teaching him about a year and 14 months now.
very good.
And he's doing
Excellent.
karate under 2 years.
That's
And
excellent.
he reached a level of purple belt.
Yeah.
He's the under 8, under 9 champion in St.
Right.
Grenadine for
Wow.
kata.
That
He
is nice.
represent us last month or so in Guyana in the world.
Yeah, because they won some
tournament.
medals down there and so on too. I was very happy to
Right.
see that. Yeah.
He got a silver, you know.
Wonderful.
So the parents all give me a lot of credit
Wonderful.
because he
Absolutely.
walks out with I. And
Absolutely.
just before he left the Tuesday, Stephen,
Uh-huh.
I woke him up 4 hours that Monday,
Uh-huh.
4.5 hours non-stop before break, and he's very disciplined, you know. So I glad that he recognized
Yeah.
that I used to teach him.
Yep.
And I tell you what I love to see my student grow and could come a day and hug me or say, Sensei, thank you, because I remember time I went to visit Dylan on the boat.
Uh-huh.
His father was there. I didn't know he was on the ship.
Yeah.
And he came out and he was so excited to see I didn't see him over here more.
Right.
He gave me a big hug. He said, Sensei W, you know, he called me Sensei W. So he said, Sensei W, I thank you very much for the knowledge you impart to me, not just martial, but you have taught me a lot in life, you know.
Yeah.
And I so glad
Well
you
done.
say, man, you make I feel like crying inside, man, you know. So
Yeah,
I
but-
love to see that growth. And
No, I
I
think
know
it's-
your son,
Yeah.
your son is a disciplined youth. But what a chat me, right, Stephen,
Uh-huh.
what I want to talk about, he had talk about financial literacy,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Mhm.
And I
Big deal.
and
Very
yeah,
important.
and I was trying to get it in, but you know what I'm looking at? I have the paper written down. I usually write down my stuff before I speak.
Right.
And I had it written down over a month to 2 months, and I'm trying to get it, and I cannot get it. But I'll catch you another time where we can
Okay.
debate it heavily. But we need to start teach financial literacy in our schools, especially
Absolutely.
in particular for women, for young girls, how
Yeah.
they can manage the money.
Yeah.
So they won't got to go in prostitution when they get a little older. Man is finding from a little time coming up and know how to turn it over and be independent.
Okay.
But I'll leave that for another
Okay.
time when
Thanks,
I could
buddy.
catch you, because I know that's up on your line, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And,
Definitely. Thanks, huh?
Yeah,
you,
man.
buddy.
So
Appreciate
give
the
time.
call.
I won't take up much time because you all take up most of my time. I had 2 things to talk about.
Take care, buddy.
So I was interviewed and jailed. You know what I mean?
Okay then. All
Stephen,
right.
lastly, I hear you all talk about camouflage, but I tell you something, right? This is something that had a big debate throughout the world a couple years ago, right? Whereby people are saying there's no one have the intellectual property right for camouflage, okay? There's countries, there's people who are kicking up against it and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a very high thing to debate, but
Yep.
I thought camouflage was my way right to New York. That
Yep.
and solid green. That
Yep.
that was all my clothes.
Yep.
And when Ron John saw me in New York, he tell me, he said, boy, you can't come one way. Because so and
And Ron was
Steve, I
right.
used to be home, you know. But I used to wear solid green. When
Yeah.
you see I chatting in Leeward, I in my parachute pants, shot everything. Everything I used to wear. Vest in solid green.
All right.
'Cause I used to go to
Okay,
the army.
we have another
So
caller.
let's go and buy these things.
Yeah,
So
good.
Okay.
it's a
Thanks,
good
buddy.
debate. Somebody can challenge it in code, but as the Virgin say, it don't declare as a law in the
Thanks,
SNR.
buddy. I
Right.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
give thanks and all. You take
All
care
right,
of
buddy.
yours. And Stephen, we'll see, man.
Yeah,
We'll
definitely.
see
We'll
Alex
talk.
sometime.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Take care,
man.
Bobby.
Bless up
All right,
yourself.
bye-bye.
All right. Give thanks. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening.
Kamal, you asked me earlier. about
45799
how we could fix some of the issues we have in this country. And I'm glad Bongo Shaka called her. Because you know what matter, sports, you need to get sports in your schools. We need to be much more serious about sports, schools. Critical. My son went to the Olympics and did well. But what I was most proud of is how he handled himself afterwards in interviews and how he spoke and so on, right? I'm very proud of my son and his accomplishments. But sports are so critical. We have in our country, we have a Ministry of Sports and we have a Ministry of Education. And for the life of me, I don't understand that because I keep arguing that the Ministry of Sports and Education is supposed to be one ministry. Who's playing sports? We need young people playing sports. You have a crime problem in this country. Right? You know one of the reasons we have a crime problem? Because you have too many young men with nothing to do. We have had courts all over this country. They're practically unusable, many of them. They don't have no backboards on them. They don't have no basketball courts. They don't have no netball courts. They're not marked for tennis. They're not for volleyball facilities. Unusable, basically. If instead we were serious about talking to the various sporting organizations, say, we need you guys to get more active in your communities. My swimmers, because I'm president of swimming, as you know, my swimmers, when they're done swimming at 7 o'clock or 7:30 at night, they go home, they eat, and they go to sleep because they're too tired. Young men need to be tired at night when they have nothing to do and they're not tired, they get into trouble. Glasgow and I were young once. I know it's hard for you to believe, but we were young once. And he knows what I'm saying is the truth, right? If you don't keep people busy, and we do not focus enough on sports in our country. My son, all my children who were fortunate enough were able to go to school in Canada. I went to school. I got shipped off to boarding school in Scotland when I was young. Every term we had to play a different sport. For the 3 terms of the year, you had a different sport. We think of sports here as games where you run for 6 weeks between January and February, and then that's it. We have no proper sports program in our country. This summer, I'm the president of the Olympic Committee too. This summer, we gave all our federations money to say we want all of you to be having camps, sport camps for young people all over the country, as many as possible, right? And I'm really happy to say that my friend Rohan Thomas wrote a nice article in the paper the other day talking about how nice it was to see hundreds of kids participating in sports over the summer. And hopefully we'd have the funding to do the program again next year. But that's one simple way to try to reduce crime. Sports teaches you discipline more than anything else. Bongo Shaka was telling you that. Karate is not an easy, most sports are not easy sports if you want to get good at them. Karate is not an easy sport. And when they can go away and they become successful and we all jump up and down and pound our chests. One of the nice things with sports is really it's not political. Everybody loves sports. Everybody who wants to be a part of a program can be a part of it, and we all celebrate them. We don't think about whether they are Labour or NDP or Green Party or whatever this new one is, right? Everybody jump up and down because of the success. What's Shafiqo Maloney running? Everybody in the country was excited. You saw the girl from Trinidad, from St. Lucia running. You saw the girl from Dominica doing the jump, right? Never mind that those countries reward their athletes and we don't. Never mind that, of course, right? But at some point, maybe that will happen too. Maybe we'll make an announcement at some point, and be proud of our athletes and give them some sort of incentive so they know that the next time. So, for example, in Dominica, they just announced they're giving their 2 swimmers are getting $20,000 EC each. The big shot athletes, the one who won the gold medal, getting $400,000 on a small piece of land. Whereas I have a friend named Kaniki Alexander, who many years ago won medals. I believe it was either at Commonwealth Games or Pan Am Games. I can't remember which one. And she was promised a piece of land in this country by the then government. She's still waiting. More than 10 years later, maybe 15 years later now. Grenada, they're athletes. They're 2 young swimmers. They get $5,000 US each. The big shots who won the medals and did well, they're getting $100,000 each. The next set of Grenadians who run in, the next set of Grenadians we're going to see. Let me just read a quick quote here, if I may, for 1 second. If I may. All right. This is from the Grenada Prime Minister. He says, to make sure that it is not just by luck or not just by talent, but it is by the infrastructure, policy, and the incentives that we put in place to make sure that the next generation of Grenadians will bring home medals also and make us proud. That's a quote from the Honorable Dixon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. So I'm still waiting to see what the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will do for our young athletes. And Shafiqo Maloney handled Roban, Kenny's Green, and Alex Joachim. We will see. We're still waiting. Patiently, of course.
Right. I don't know that this government has been a government that has been upfront in terms of taking care of our sports people. Yes, there may be some that.
For the task class,
yeah.
Good evening.
Morning. Good evening.
Hey, Queens. Yeah, Queens.
How are you doing?
Good, man. Good.
You roll out the red carpet. Welcome back, the stranger.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Glasgow met me and greeted me very nicely. Thank you.
Yeah. You said the government agreed to give what, $5,000 or whatever,
$5,000
right?
US to
And
each
they
of the
give up
swimmers
piece
and
of land.
$100,000 US to the people, the track athletes who won medals and so on over the years. Yes.
And who was promised a piece of land?
The lady in St. Vincent the Grenadines, we had a runner here named Kaniki Alexander. Kaniki, I happen to know, I regard her as a friend of mine. She comes from a poor family in Mespo. Wonderful family, wonderful people. Kaniki is a class lady. In my view, don't tell her I said that though. But she's a really nice person. And the government at the time promised her piece of land and so on when she won medals and whatever. She tells me she's still waiting.
It's in the
No,
process.
Yeah.
Mr. Ballantyne said he got a piece of land from the government and he got a job.
Okay,
So
I'm very
if
happy
you
to hear
put that together,
Yes.
if you put that land together when he got it to present and the job when he got it to present, put them two together, the money, wouldn't that be more than the money that the government of Grenada would have given to any one of the athletes?
What? That's a real question you're
You put
asking
in the
me?
money over the years. If you have the job for 25 years and you have the land for 25 years, you put them two together, the value.
What?
Wouldn't that be more than the one-time payment
Let's
that the
say
government
yes
of
and
Grenada
then tell
give
me.
to
Let's
the athlete?
say yes and let's ask you what your point is.
Yeah, well, that's more than any one-time payment that a government
So you don't
could
think
give
for
an athlete
Chico?
one time.
So 5 different athletes in Grenada, right, who went to the Olympics. 3 different athletes in Dominica being rewarded, but you don't think that our athletes in St. Vincent should be rewarded also?
He's not saying that, Steve.
Sounds that way to me. Because
More
you're talking absolute illogical nonsense.
He's not saying
Money
that
put
at
together
all.
for 25 years would be more than
Talking stupidness. I have no time for
that
stupidness.
than what they get.
Talking
No,
total
but I don't.
Would that be more?
I don't agree.
If you have a
that,
job
you
for
know.
25
That's
years,
stupidness.
the money
What does
that
that
you
have to do with
collected
what?
over
That's
the years
one
from
person.
the
What
land
happened to
that
the all the
you
other
have for 25
athletes?
years.
But Stephen, I was before the caller came,
I
I was
just
going to
stupidness.
make the point of other athletes, Ian Allen
Yes.
and other persons who represent West Indies would have gotten land from this government.
Okay.
This government is a government that has taken care of our athletes and have made a policy that every person who represents St. Vincent should be employed. Scholarship, if they are eligible for scholarship, has been given scholarship by this government.
What about
And
Kaniki Alexander?
Well, I don't know what is the issue with Kaniki, but the fact is that this government has made it a business to take care of our athletes. Every single person who represents St. Vincent, he has made it his the Prime Minister and the government has made it a business that those persons are employed, if not employed, and as I said, on scholarship, and provide them, as I said, with land in some cases. And I'm quite sure that, what's her name, Maloney, is going to be taken care of. You know, you cannot fault, if there's one thing you cannot fault this Prime Minister for, is not taking care of our athletes.
Did you hear me say that? Did you hear me say that?
Well,
I pointed out to you
what Grenada.
I pointed out to
and
you what
you-
Grenada and Dominica had done for their athletes this year at the Paris 2024
Well, I'm
Olympics.
saying that ours have been taking care of our athletes and our sports persons from ever.
That's it, Queens. That's
Ever
it.
since.
No,
25 years almost coming about money and
question.
nobody else matters. It doesn't matter. What an incredible
both
conversation.
panelists. Some people say they should name the stadium after Maloney. What do you think about Vincent Beach being named that
Vincent Beach had
stadium
nothing
being
to do with sports. It is
named
not a
the name of
stadium, it is a
Vincent
track.
Beach?
When it becomes a stadium, then we could discuss the
When,
naming
when,
of
when
it.
it becomes a stadium, because it is an
name it.
athletic track right now, not wrong in calling it St. Vincent Beach athletic track because
I would prefer. I think other things could be named after Sir Vincent, but I would agree.
Yeah,
it
me
is
too.
my position
Me
that
too.
it could well be named after Shafiqa Maloney.
No, I don't.
Can we
I
wait
don't-
until people
I don't-
actually
I don't support
retire
that.
and they've accomplished something in their whole life?
I
as
don't
opposed to
support
one-off reaction?
Any athlete, person who would have come rise to the thing, I don't have no problem with naming after a person who have represented St. Vincent well in athletics.
Well, if that is the
something
trend,
else
Harley,
to be
then
named
we'll
after
go echo. Every time a Vincent can do outstanding well, we will name a part of the stadium after him.
If you have
Yeah.
stands and
They can-
thing you could name, put their name up there, like in Annisfield.
Yeah, they could have named
Mike
the-
Finley, Frank Thomas, and
They could have named the Diagnostic Center in Georgetown after Vincent Beach or the Rabaca Bridge. But you should never name that stadium after Sir Vincent Beach. You know,
It's
you
not-
never
it's
he's no
just-
athlete.
Is it official? Is this an official name? I don't think that
It don't matter. It shouldn't, no sports thing should be named after him. Pamela's Valentine name should be named after that stadium out there,
You have to
in my
be-
opinion.
I pay attention to you all the time.
Has this playing field up at
But the Queens,
Lamb.
I listen to you all the time. But tonight,
You can name more than one thing in his name.
tonight I give a pass mark of 2 out of 10. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
But what I understand, I see you are trash Queens. The point that I think he was making, when you check, for example, he talked about Pamela's Valentine getting a piece of land.
And employment for 23 years.
And employment.
A
And
job.
he's saying, if you check it, it's value a lot.
The value for 25 years or whatever.
So I don't think that is, a reason for me trashing him.
And I hope it
had
had nothing to do with Pam and us getting up on a political platform supporting the Red Patch at one
That
time.
might be.
Stephen, you're too political
That might be, but
tonight.
it's still value.
Stephen, you're too
Still
political
value
tonight, Kingsley.
more than what anyone time payment.
Boy, they don't like honesty.
Steve,
They
yes,
don't like you.
in,
Tell me one thing I didn't say
Where's
right.
Steve?
Tell me one thing I said wrong.
Where's Steve Portugal?
Tell me one.
A former commissioner went on a platform in pure red.
No, but the thing is, Ian Allen has never appeared on a political
Allen?
platform. No, but I'm
A
saying that they
commissioner,
don't have
former
to do
commissioner
that.
of police.
I don't- we talk about
Who sit
others,
here on
you know.
Friday,
We
go on a
talk about
platform,
others.
pure red. He played a dribble
Thank you
card
very
in
much.
pure red.
The commissioner was just blending in.
Defend that too.
And he
Defend that
blended well.
too.
There you go.
But I'm coming back, Stephen.
Okay.
And the issue
All right,
of
okay.
others on the political platform. So it is not that. Like I said, Ian Allen never did,
Queen's gone.
and other persons who represent him.
When I hear Michael Charles on Friday morning, I laugh.
Julian Aniro also got land from the government who represent West Indies.
13 minutes before 10 o'clock, we have 5 more minutes, 4579997. And tonight's program is being sponsored by Bathurst Bar. So if you want to have a little lunch tomorrow and you want to try some,
You can go for breakfast. I was there the other day for
And
breakfast.
like you make a point as to what's in it, Kiniki Alexander, and my friend Cardell Jack also represents St. Vincent, but she didn't get any land. So she also
Yes, sir.
waiting, for her land because she represented West Indies.
yeah, go ahead, sir, go ahead.
I'm agreeing with Stephen that we gotta put sports back in the schools and them. But
Sports
one
was
thing-
never out the school and them. I grew up as an athletic person in school.
No. We used to have a lot of stuff happening in school, Kingsley. You know that too. A lot of stuff. They now start doing it again. But my thing with Stephen, with the athletics department, how can you say it's not political when Keith Joseph do not get along with the government?
I agree with you, my friend. Listen, Keith is the president of athletics. And, unfortunately, and I've told Keith this myself, I think it's very difficult for any government.
Right, because
Go
you
ahead,
don't think it's affecting the athletes.
Of
and them
course it
too?
is, absolutely. Negative.
Because look what happened. Look what happened to Maloney.
Correct.
That's part of the problem right there.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. It's a big part of the problem.
That's why that's part of the problem.
Agreed with you.
So things like that gonna keep happening until we find a solution. So Keith is holding St. Vincent ransom because of political reasons. You understand what I'm saying?
The athletes.
The athletes. Well, it's St. Vincent because they're representing us.
Well, you could also
You understand what I'm saying?
you could make an argument that that Keith Joseph's personal political views should have nothing to do with his role in dealing with the government when it comes to athletics.
It should not.
It shouldn't. But we are human beings, and that will happen. I happen to agree with you. I understand your position.
Stephen, you see, you have your ways and stuff with the government. Besides that, but when it comes to sport, I think you're very fair sometimes when coming to sports.
You're saying what you want to hear.
With swimming, I think you should go look for some of the ghetto youths too and bring them into your camp. And not just the bourgeoisie people in them. Not disrespecting.
No, you have to. No. Listen, let me tell you, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I have said this, and I've said it, and I continue to say, the only sport that we can obtain world-class level of athletes in, right, is track and field.
Right.
Ignoring cricket because occasionally we'll get lucky there. Same in track and field, right? The problem, you can't do that in swimming. I've got 125-meter lane pool, and it's expensive. I have written to CWSA to ask them to give me water. I've asked them the electricity. I can't run a pool without electricity. So I can't run a pool with poor people because poor people, and you're absolutely right. It is bourge because poor people can't afford to pay a couple $100 a month to swim.
But then, let me ask you something. Sure. This is where the lottery come in. This is where the lottery come in.
But if I want money, and the lottery has been very...
This is where everybody got to sit down and come at the table. As the Prime Minister say, we all got to get together and we are going to make this thing work. Because if you're going to say no, it's only somebody could come $10,000 and put in your pocket and say, well, okay, my child thing.
Absolutely.
So the poor person who could be a good swimmer, they have the opportunity.
That is correct. So what you're saying is 100% correct, except let me tell you where the one thing where you are wrong. We can't go and have a conversation with the lottery. This government has supported swimming over the last 10 or 12 years. They've given me money when I asked for it, but you know the problem? I follow the process. I write to the National Sports Council. They recommend it to the National Lottery. But guess what happens? Guess what happens? I get nothing until I call Ralph. If I don't call Ralph, I get zero. That is wrong in this country.
But this is my problem.
So how are you going to have a consultation and talk to people when it's a one-way street?
I support the Labour Party government, but things like this should not be happening.
But it's happening continuously.
Should not be victimization because of personal reasons. And this is with getting everybody in problems. Because everybody have their own agenda.
Correct.
Like Steve Jobs being getting nothing, and that is wrong. So,
stay here and say that as it relates to if whenever swimming call the National Lottery or request sponsorship from the National Lottery, that swimming does not get money until...
Before you finish, I'm very faithful to Stephen. He had said it many a time.
Yeah, but I'm
the
saying
Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister had to give him the fund. When he went to Lottery, I ain't defending him, but then this one he was right. There's many times I've heard him say that.
I am telling you, and I could stay here and say that because I am a director on the National Lottery Board, and time after time.
That's simply not true, Glasgow. You're not speaking the truth.
That is, but I'm telling you.
You are not speaking the truth. You think you did. Unless I call, how do you prove it? The Prime Minister sends the call, picks up the phone and calls Mac and says, Mac, process this for me, please. And then it goes to your board and you approve it and you don't even know what's happening.
Enough times that the things come to the board and it is being approved for swimming. Swimming is one of the bodies.
Of course it comes to the board because the Prime Minister picks up the phone and calls you.
No.
Because the Prime Minister picks up the phone and calls the manager. That is what happens.
Kamal, you laughing over there, Kamal.
Okay.
Sorry, caller, go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
5 minutes, 30 seconds on to 10 o'clock. Glasgow, your closing points. You're
ready to close already?
Yeah.
And I know getting hot?
Yeah.
But that is not nice.
Because he doesn't even know what he's approving and how it works. You don't even know how the lottery works.
That is not true.
You don't even know what really happens, don't you?
I know.
So Glasgow, is the square peg in a hole?
Don't bother with that. I know, when definitely at have times when we say, look, the Prime Minister have to send, I think I could say that. But no, I know that when Stephen spoke,
When that happened last? When was the last time the board, the lottery approved the thing for swimming out the Prime Minister? Tell me when. Tell me when. Tell me when. When was the last time your lottery board approved something for swimming without the Prime Minister having this call?
Whenever swimming
Your
come
organization
before us,
doesn't even acknowledge that we wrote an
whenever
application to
swimming
you.
come to us, swimming we
You don't
approve
even know.
the swimming.
You don't
because we
even, that's
recognize
not
that
true.
swimming is doing well.
That's not true.
Yeah.
You're not speaking
Well,
the truth.
Glass, can tell me something. For you
Listen,
prefer
You're not speaking the truth.
players or they play 79-20 tomorrow. Glass, we say that call it tomorrow so we get some leak out. 79-20 tomorrow, okay? Yeah, Glass, you just give me number because we play for tomorrow with me.
Yes. So no, but I think we had a good program, Kingsley.
Well, that must be good because if you give me the secret tomorrow, 79-20.
Stephen did a lot of damage tonight. He went off to the whole issue of marriage. He takes Bongo Shaka come to make point. He carried Bongo Shaka.
You know Bongo Shaka.
What marriage, and so on and so forth. And he will lead me into the thing and expose some of my marriage business and all of that.
And your daughter listening.
Sorry, I take it back. 6 years, huh?
But remember, I asked them, please not to follow, my footsteps. Hopefully that they would,
How
go
many times have you been married?
to the end. Only once.
Why? If it's a good thing, why haven't done it again?
Because I'm still married, actually.
Really?
Yes,
You're a wise man.
They only separated.
Yeah, I never got divorced.
I haven't done it.
Because had you gotten divorced, you know what happened?
I said, I'm out of 10.
You're gonna go get married again. And to the same kind of woman.
So you were doing my favor.
You did the right thing. Stay married. You're a good married man. You did the right thing.
I think a lot of the issues Stephen make up a point in terms of the sports and the Ministry of Education belong to sports. Sports and education ought to be together. I think this country is maybe the only one. I don't know of any other country in the Caribbean that sports and education is not together. I don't know what is the issue. It has been so for a long time, and I am calling on the government again that those two bodies belong together. As it relates to the whole issue of discipline, Stephen, what we used to do, where we used to play on the little piece of playing field and so on. Discipline is a big issue. It's a huge with our young people. To get them involved in sports, it's a hard thing because we don't have the level of organization that we used to have long ago within the communities. So that is what we need to.
Actually, you know what? It's interesting. If I could interrupt you 1 second. I had a conversation with Joel Providence. God, it was several years ago now. And we were talking about, and Joel made what I thought was an excellent point. He said, Stephen, the problem now is when we were growing up, we had a lot of volunteers. Now all the coaches want to get paid.
Yes.
So that mentality of volunteering and helping out in the village and in your communities, those are long gone by the wayside now.
Yes.
So I thought that was a good point that Joel made at that time that I hadn't thought about. So.
Yes. So I think, like I said, Stephen, I am not hopeful in terms of this generation, but I'm praying that, as you said, the level of organization that exists in the communities in our time, it's not there.
Anymore.
The 4-H club, the youth councils, and all of them, they doesn't exist anymore. So that's a problem. If we could get these things back together, it will help.
The time in St. Vincent and Grain is just 10 o'clock. I want to say a special good night to Annie Sabatista. For some reason, you're on my mind. I wonder what. She was very helpful with me. I'm not 100% tonight, but she's responsible for getting me where I am.
And she's a wonderful person.
Yes. It's good to see that she's listening. I'll enjoy myself. Me and Glass and Stephen joking.
Yes. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Hey, what you don't know? Check out Papa, that's it.
It's Feedback with host Kingsley De Freitas. This and every Tuesday night from 8 p.m.